Berserker Mini mouth to lung RTA. Let's do it. Hey guys, Vick here, back with another review. Today we are looking at this, the Berserker mouth to lung Mini RTA. This is the follow-up to the full-size Berserker, which was a mouth to lung RTA just the same, but it was 24mm wide. This one is the 2mm, 22mm wide version. So they've made it a bit thinner, a bit narrower, a bit more classic mouth to lung style RTA size and dimensions. 2mm capacity. It's not actually any shorter. It's 1.7mm shorter than the original in 2mm mode. The original had a 2mm mode and a 4.5mm mode, but this is now 2mm. This is a 2mm only capacity tank now, and it's 30mm tall. So it's a lot narrower in terms of width, but it's not much shorter, if that was what you were looking for. Let's go down low, have a look at this up close. I'll put a build in, I'll show you how I wick it, etc. And then we'll come back up top for pros and cons of the Berserker Mini mouth to lung RTA. See you in a sec. Alright guys, here we are up close with the Berserker Mini mouth to lung RTA from vandyvape. This is the packaging I've got. This is the sample packaging. Your packaging will look sexier. Opening her up like this. You get some cool stuff with this, to be fair. Some really cool stuff. You get a metal sleeve if you don't want to use glass. You also get a sort of yellow tinted glass as well, and an ultim tip, which would look very matchy with that. Underneath here as well, you get all your extras, all your good stuff, coils and what have you. Beautiful. Beautiful. This is the RTA. This is it. Mouth to lung style drip tip here. It is very tight. And it's yeah, very sort of standard 510, but it's got this sort of interesting bevelly look to it, which is a thing. You know, it's comfy in the mouth, I'll say that. So there we go. vandyvape written on top there. Putting this back in, and you've got your top fill as well on here. That pops it out like that. Top fill, no problem on this at all. I wish I had the original to compare to you size wise, but I don't. This is basically a lot shorter. You know, it's a very, very small. You'll see when we're up top, you'll see it on the device, and you'll see its smallness. But yes, so that is the top fill section. You've got your airflow here as well. Tiny hole there. And as you go around, the hole's getting bigger. So you've got your 4 holes there, like that. And they're your choices. But the smallest one is very small, and the biggest one ain't that big. This is a genuine mouth to lung tank. Protruding 510 pin there. Not the sort of thing you'd put on a hybrid device anyway, but yeah, that's what it looks like. Opening up the deck, this is where the magic happens. As you can see, it's a very small chamber in there. Very small chamber, and that assists with the flavour of this thing. And then you've got your deck. Looking very much like that. Let's get some coils in here, and then I can explain better what this deck's all about. Okay, guys, got our coil in now. Straight down the middle. This is actually one of the coils that came in the pack. Straight down the middle, corresponding leads. Screw them down nice and tight. Do make sure you screw it down nice and tight on this type of deck design. It does help to do that. I've done them lead down, because I want to create a bit of distance from the air hole to the coil. The higher that distance, the more more sort of throat hit you get, the more sort of harshness to your vape. And I think it's nice to get a bit of bite in a mouth to lung vape. So that is why I haven't done it the other way around. That's why I've got a bit of distance from my air hole. All I need to do now, cotton straight down the middle, and just put a tiny bit, pad a tiny bit into each hole. And as you can see through those little holes, it will wick up. So I'm just going to wick it up now. Okay, so all you want to do with that wicking is make sure it fills out that little box. You really need such a small amount of cotton, but do make sure it fills out that box completely. But that is it, you know, that's all you need to do. Let's put it back together and fill it up. There we go, let's go back up top. Okay guys, that was the Berserker Mini down low. So, as I've said, it's not a humongous change. It's not a humongous change what they have done with this, but they have made it a 22mm wide version. Now, there's two elements to that. It does mean, because it's such a low power device, it needs so little amount of watts to use it. It does mean that you can now put it on these really small pocket-friendly vapes, which is really handy, I think. I think it is the perfect, you know, out and about pocket-friendly RTA. So the fact that it now fits on all those portable tiny mods as well, I think is really cool. So that is a positive thing. Also, you could make a case for the flavour being better on the mini one. It's a smaller chamber, it's all a bit more reduced, they've managed to shrink it all down just that tiny little bit, so you could certainly make the case that because it's shorter, because it's a tiny bit narrower in terms of its deck, the flavour could be more intense with this one as well. In terms of airflow, it's got a very similar feel. Overall vape, it's got a very similar feel to the original Berserker. You've got your 4 air hole options. This is the widest one, like this. Sort of a very restricted lung hit / very loose mouth to lung. It's sort of very much on that brink. I actually really like this style of vape around 25-30 watts. Very nice vape. The flavour is tremendous on this, actually, when you're vaping it like this. If we shrink this down to the smallest hole, it's a very small hole, smaller than the Aries. I would say in terms of the airflow hole size, it is smaller than the Haster and the Siren as well in its smallest thing. However, this does not have the air reducer screws that those have. So in a lot of ways, this is a much easier to use, a lot less fiddly, a lot less faffy than those other RTAs, with the exception of the Aries, which is much airier than this, in my opinion, overall. So this is on the smallest air hole. This is as tight as it goes. It's very tight. It's very tight. It's a very true, very honest, very traditional mouth to lung vape in that smallest hole. It's the closest thing. Actually, when I put it in the second hole, I don't want to get too obsessed with these holes, but when I put it in the second hole, it's the closest vape I've had to a K-Fun Light for a very long time. That just reminds me straight away of the K-Fun Light in terms of vape. It's actually a bit better than the K-Fun Light in some ways as well. It actually wicks faster, and it's actually easier to put nicer coils in here. So you're getting that K-Fun Light-esque feel of vape in terms of airflow. But it's actually rocking some really nice flavour in here. So that is a thing. That is definitely a thing. It's a really nice vape. The Berserker, the original, has received unilateral praise, and I can completely appreciate why. Very well put together, very cleverly thought up. It's a very true mouth to lung. You know, there isn't an option for wide expansive air on this. They've not suddenly thrown that in. This is designed to wick for this wattage. It's designed to the airflow is designed for this wattage. The size of the build deck is designed for this wattage. It is a genuinely true mouth to lung device. The top fill works very well. It's very well put together. The deck could not be easier to use. The wicking, very hard to go wrong with the wicking on this. All I would say is don't pack out with loads of cotton in that hole. You do want the juice to be able to come through that hole and move around a little bit, but on the other side of things, you don't want too little cotton, because you don't want that juice to be able to go up, go wherever it wants. So you're really just putting two bits of cotton in just to sort of stop it in its tracks. You know, you're just stopping that juice in its tracks. Don't have it really thick. Don't have a really thick, dense bit of cotton in there. Keep it keep it like really fluffy and light in there. You know, you don't need much cotton. Wicking will not be a problem. I guarantee you won't have trouble wicking this thing. It's a piece of cake. But yeah, that's basically what you want to look for from the wicking. You really don't need much cotton at all. But a really nice vape. Really enjoying the vape on this. If you're wondering about this box mod, by the way, it's my special vaping Vick. Can you see that? My special vaping Vick engraved mod maker box. Ideal Home Show on the other side. Made for me by Rick from modmaker.co.uk. They've just released the best squonk bottles on the market, by the way. Check out modmaker.co.uk if you need some really squishy squonk bottles. So that's the mod. But the tank is good. Top fill works fine. Drip tips nice in the mouth. Really well put together, super build deck, great flavour, really enjoying the way it vapes, no wicking issues, no leaking issues, anything like that. The Berserker mouth to lung RTA was a bang on, spot on mouth to lung RTA. This follow up is just for those people that want it for 22mm wide. If you want your Berserker to be 22mm wide, as I did, then this is the one for you. This will go on your tiny mods, go in your pocket, come with you wherever you go, and you'll have a great vape on the move. I really like this. I think it's a fantastic RTA. Really impressed with it. This and the Aries are probably the two best on the market right now. If you like a looser draw, the Aries from Innokin is the one to go for. If you like a really nice tight mouth to lung draw, then the Berserker is the one to go for, in my opinion. Two brilliant RTAs, very good RTA, very good remake of the original for 22mm, really spot on. Thumbs up from me. I've been Vaping Vick, and I'll see you again soon.